Hey you guys, Serenity, Soul Invictus here. Um, Today I want to talk about something. I want to talk about a little bit more about ancestors. Um, you are your ancestors, in fact. This is something that I have been discussing with a few people, and people seem to think that you are worshiping dead spirits when you dive into the ancestral honoring. And I want to say this, it couldn't be further from the truth. Because how could you worship something that is you? I am my ancestors. I can't worship myself. Okay? I can worship the spirit of supreme being in myself, within myself, and around myself, but I cannot worship a dead spirit in myself. I can't worship something, give something power, you know, outside of myself, if that makes sense. So here it is now. My ancestor altar has literally found a space for itself. Let me just say that differently. My ancestors have found a better space for their altar. and and it was right under my nose, you guys. This space, this area right behind me, where you see that curtain right there, is where I have moved it to. Now, I have already rearranged my whole bedroom and everything to have it there, and I found that it was better to be put in the north direction, facing south from the north. And it worked right out that that space, that where I have that table set up now, is in the exact same direction and everything. I have all the things set up on there. All of the things that represent the elements, earth, air, fire, water, all that. I have candy, I have water, I have flowers, I have a plant, I have the white tablecloth, I smudge, do all that. Listen to this now. Let me just say how powerful this stuff is. I want to talk about how this all started. I don't know if I mentioned it before in another video, but ever since my daughter and I started walking through a graveyard, yes, there's a graveyard right opposite her school. And we have gone through the graveyard, started going through the graveyard for the last maybe couple of months. Well, it stopped now, but I'm going to get to that, how it happened. I believe that she's been at that school for 4 years, and this is the first time we've been doing this because it was just easier. It seemed more peaceful. It's way more peaceful. I tell her, you don't have to fear the dead, you have to fear the living. So as we got started to get comfortable now going through there, someone put up a gate right at the front portion of the exit point of the cemetery. And it's a big rolling gate, automatic lock, all of that kind of stuff. So needless to say, I'm not trespassing. So I said, we're not going to go that way anymore, obviously. Even though there's other ways you can get in and out, I said, I think the time is up for that. I'm never afraid of the cemetery. It's never something. I always walk in, honor them. I always close my eyes. We give a little moment of silence, and like I put my head down out of respect. We're quiet. We just walk in, walk through, get out. Okay, as quietly as possible. All of these things. We see the most beautiful animals, all of that. So it's nothing scary. But at the same time, now I feel, not just now, but the days after that happened with the gate and everything, that time just was up. That's just how I feel. I feel like something was drawing me to that place at that time. And that it served a particular purpose at that time, and that purpose has been served now, and so there is a gate. You see how things go? Like, this is what you call total serendipity, okay? This is like fate. So, as I was saying now, that is what led me to start thinking about the topic of ancestors in the first place, walking through a graveyard. Because I'm like, where I live, I'm like, this cemetery has been there for quite a long time, long before I was born. So I'm like wondering, just looking at all of the old graves and stuff like that, I can see graves were there from like the 60s and 70s and stuff. So I'm wondering, wow, who could be lying here that's in my family, that was in my bloodline or whatever. And all of this led me to ancestors and all of that. But The point I'm trying to make here is your ancestors are, every one of them have left a little piece of them in you, okay? Their DNA, that's what they've left in you, okay? They've left the upbringing, the history, all of the things that they taught your parents and grandparents that came down the generations to you. So by honoring your ancestors, the first way to do that is to honor yourself. The first way to do that is to try to carry on the legacy of your family, of the good things, the qualities, the good positive qualities and traits of your family. That is the best way to honor your ancestors. Of course, you know, we can tap into spirit and the spiritual practices to honor them, to go into a more meditative state in your subconscious mind, opening it up and allowing them to speak to you through that. But I'm going to get to that. I'm still talking about in the physical. Think back where it could come from thousands of years ago. People in your bloodline. They're not just Black people. If you are of African descent, if you are still melanated, okay? Think about it. You have a little bit of everybody in you, whether it's before or after the slave trade. And this is how I look at myself. I am an infinite being. Okay, I am not limited to one race. I am not limited to one ethnicity. Even though I have this skin, I love this skin. This skin represents power. This represents strength. This represents life. I mean, this represents people who have, I mean, I don't even have to go there. You guys know. You guys know how far this thing goes. Okay, how deep this thing goes. And so the best way you can honor them is by living through them, carrying on their legacy through you. Now, on to the spiritual portion of it, I believe that there's a hierarchy to life. And as above, so below is the name of this channel. And it's the name of this channel for a reason. That is the coined phrase of Hermes Trismegistus. This is otherwise known as Tahuti or Thoth. Thoth. I say Thoth. People have misconstrued the word thought now, like your mama's a thought, like you know what I mean. So I'm gonna say Tahuti. People don't understand there's a hierarchy that goes up this ladder that leads back to source, leads back to spirit. Okay, and the lowest on that ladder, unfortunately, you guys, is us. But the next step up from there in the hierarchy system of this all beings is your ancestors. So if you want to think about actually getting into, tapping into that energy of deity, you want to get to know deity, you want to actually research and study and do all of these kind of stuff, and you may wonder why maybe you're not, getting the results you may want, or not feeling some type of vibe happening as quickly or as strongly as it could, it's because a lot of us forget about our first line of defense. The first step up in ascension, our ancestral spirits. All right? There's something I wanted to say just now, a point I really wanted to make just now. Think about it. When you die, if you believe in metaphysics, if you believe in all of this esoteric stuff, if you believe in magic, if you believe in nature, source, God is infinite. So it's like we are infinite. We can't just be born to die. We're born to live. We're born to relive. We're born to express. We're born to continue in this life. So if you are a continuation, the next level is to become deity after that, where one day One day you're going to be an ancestor. One day you're going to be called an ancestor. Trust me. But one day beyond that, you're going to be called the deity if you do the work. And that's what it's all about. That's seeking, ever seeking, because the truth will always be revealed to those who seek. And that is one of the secrets of Tahuti as well. That's talked about in the Emerald Tablets. You know, the seeker of light. You cannot be condemned. You cannot be fooled. You cannot be, oppressed or imprisoned or enslaved. So always seek truth. And to me, that is the truth. Because you can't just look at the person who took care of me. Just saying, you guys all hear me talk about my grandma. There's no way she could just come on this earth and live 60 something years of her life and just die. Get buried in the dirt, then go to heaven, walk on streets of gold. And I guess what, sing hymnals? It has to be a system, a more intelligent system to life. Because if we look at God, we like to say God can do anything. We like to say these things, but then we look at him so limited in our actions and in our ways and in our thoughts. We give him absolutely like this much like credit for things. Infinite means infinite, Infinite does not mean like, oh, it's so big until you get here and then it stops. Infinite means it never stops. A lot of us have to accept this. The more you accept these things, the more easy it is to navigate through life. The more easy it is for you to understand principles that may sound a little bit different from what you're used to hearing. Think about it now. We have let's think back from Africa. You have the Yoruba people. You have like the Igbo people. You have the Champa people. There's another one I'm trying to remember from around the Congo. Bakongo people that now are known as, from the area is known as the Congo. You have Mbundu. This is where capoeira comes from, where it started. They were transported to like South America, to like Brazil, and they started doing it there. And now Brazilians call it capoeira. People think that the Brazilians have come up with this. It's African, okay? It's a style of martial arts. You guys, these things are within us already. All we got to do is tap into the consciousness level, tap into that energy, that frequency, open our hearts and our minds up to these things. We've been taught so much to forget about the dead. When Europeans honor their dead with monuments, with statues, with all of these huge things, yet we must forget about our dead. We must forget them. That's the way we can just swallow and follow up everything that they have to offer us. Like Jason Derulo song, swallow, swallow, swalla, swalla. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Swalla, la, la. Swallow all of their garbage. I refuse. I refuse to. Because we have a very rich history. And like I said, I know that I am not limiting myself to one ethnicity. However, I know I may be predominantly more one than others. At the same time, I look at all as equally as important and as powerful in my life, into my life. I want to teach my children the same thing. The reason why you are told to forget about them is so that you can be imprisoned spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, psychologically. It's a lot of reasons, okay? Financially, all of those things. And I was always a person who was curious about if somebody told me not to do something, why or why not? And if you have a legitimate reason, I'm still curious. You know, they say curiosity kills the cat, but in this day and age, the veil is being lifted. We are reaching a different time. The age of Aquarius is soon upon us. Okay? We have to remember this. This is why consciousness is changing. This is why all of these information, all of these things are being revealed to us now. Okay? What are you going to stand for? What are you going to continue to accept? When you've seen people just die, they suffer, they work, they die. You know, I think that there's got to be a different way than this. Now, like I said, when getting into the deity portion of this, I'm trying to not make this video too long. You know, you have to climb that ladder. At this time, I have my ancestors still set up like on my deity. It's a working altar, so it's like both of them there until I have space to make separate ones. But at the same time, I don't think they would have a problem with this because that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like you can't have one without the other then. That's how I feel. Because they are both there to, the energies both there for you to tap into, you know, one higher than the other. And I feel like the energy of deity would help you remediate problems that may come from uneasy ancestral spirits. But everything that I do, I always include spirit, supreme spirit, God, source, you know. I always include that in my practices, whether it's meditation, whether it's a ritual, whatever it is, I always include God because at the end of the day, that is the supreme. That is where we are all from. That is where we are all to return to. So if I can't ignore spirit when it's spirit that gives life to anything else that you can actually pay attention to or call upon or invoke. You know, that bit of invocation that you're doing, some of that comes from spirit itself, you see. A lot of people may not understand. I've heard my husband even say, you know, he was drinking one night and he's like, oh, well, you know, you just go and you do your wicked witch stuff and I'll go this way, you go that way. The nerve. The nerve. I'm going to laugh at that. I'm laughing because, you know, of course, he said sorry after that. He was incoherent. but, you know, they say a drunk man speaks a sober man's thoughts. You ever heard that? I heard that a lot. So I feel like there are people who are not going to pretty much understand what you're doing. However, you must continue. You must persevere. Okay? You must show them better than you can tell them. It's not about going around arguing with people. It's not about proving some point to them. When they see that nothing's changing your mind on this, you know, you don't have to argue about it. You're peaceable. You don't have time for that, you know. That's making a disgrace of your ancestors. I don't have time for that. So I just continue in what I'm doing and the truth will show itself. 3 things that cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. So you guys, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up before it starts getting too long because I can talk about this stuff all day. But I'm not gonna. But I want you to remember that your ancestors live in you. Okay? You live your ancestors every day. Find ways to remember who you are. Go around and ask people, talk to people about who they may know or may have known in your family line, who may no longer be here, you know, but tap into this wisdom while you can get it, because old people have a lot to share and they don't have a very long time to be here. And so one of the things that they give us, you know, they're very generous usually when they get in their old age. People love grandmas and stuff like that. But they also have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share with us. This is going to carry on into future generations. If you care about your ancestors, care about your future generations, because they go back as far in time as you can imagine, but it's going to go as far in time backwards as it does forward. you know. So use this presence that you have, the unlimited presence that you have, to carry that into the future. All right. What's the point of waiting until, let's just say you have a family member, a relative who's sick. They're up in age, they're sick. They may be, you know, perhaps disabled, perhaps, you know, have dementia, or, you know, all kinds of things when you get up in age. What's the point of waiting until that person dies to just say, now you're going to light a candle for Aunt Helga, or you're going to light a candle for Grandpa Joe? You know, you're going to light a candle now. You waited until this man was dead, you know, to now tap into his knowledge, what he has to offer. Do it now. Use the present, okay? Even the Bible talks about it, like, you know, speaking of not wasting the time you have. It's better to do it when you're young than to wait until you're old, okay? Because when you're old, a lot of the knowledge that is so available to you now will not be as available to you then. You may not be as able to get it then, you see? So procrastination is definitely a thief of time. With anything in life. So remember that in your journey. Your ancestors are very important to your life. Like I said, Europeans honor theirs every day. They get to see theirs on the dollar bills every day, on $100 notes. They get to see them at Mount Rushmore. They get to see them all over the place. Monument style. So don't forget to remember yours too. So with that being said, I'm outie, guys. Blessings, peace and love, and namaste until I come back with another great topic. Hit like if you like this video, and give me some feedback in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell beside the subscribe button so that you know when there's a new video for you, okay? So guys, thanks a lot for watching, and peace out. Bye.